Welcome to the Selling in the Motor Trade podcast, in association with Simco Training. This is the weekly podcast where we share best practice, tips and ideas on how to sell more cars, improve your service department, and generally put more profit into your dealership or dealer group. I'm your host, Simon Bowkett. Now, some of you probably already know me as Skippy. I would start by saying thank you for taking the time to listen to this podcast. Okay, so moving along then, the motor trade going forward there, I want to touch on the A word, agency. I know that when we're recording this, because again, some people go back to podcasts and they binge listen, JLR, so Jaguar Land Rover has just publicly said they're not going to go down the agency sales route. I know lots of other manufacturers are. The brands that you represent, I believe 2025 have I got that right? They're looking at agency 24 and
2026, I think.
26
for the Stellantis brands, or the first of the Stellantis brands. It has been delayed. It was going to be sooner.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you believe that the agency is inevitable? It's coming. We need to get used to it. Or do you believe that some manufacturers might say, well, hold on, if JLR's not doing it, let's go back and have a look. I'll give you an example. Honda have publicly said they're not doing agency. But when you look at them selling their electric vehicle at the moment, it's agency, everything in name. It's they've not called it agency, but lots of. So the question is it inevitable in your views? And if so, what do we need to do as dealers to prepare ourselves for it?
I think it's felt inevitable for some time. And as I say, we've certainly had delays along the way, and we are, Stellantis and we are brand-owned dealer group that I work for. So, it's certainly well above my pay grade, Simon, as to what will happen. I think it feels inevitable. But then, I've sat in a few meetings along the way, trying to prepare for it, and it almost sometimes feel like there's things that there's that much that we do that the brands always say that they make the cars and the retailers are the experts in selling, and I firmly believe that's the case. They're good at making them, as a manufacturer, as a brand, and we're good at retailing them, as I said before. I think, as I say, it's probably an inevitability, but there's a lot, like you say, there's a lot of brands deciding against it now, and I can understand why, because I think there's a lot of things they forget that we do in the background, even as simple as, finance settlements, and, there's lots of little intricacies that they don't forget, that they don't think of.
Yeah.
What do we have to do to prepare? Look after our customers as best we can. We've got to have the best customer satisfaction, reputation. All our reviews have to be great, don't they? And you've got to have plenty of them, because that is what's going to then differentiate us from the competition, isn't it? Suddenly the price is the same wherever you go. Of course, there's still potentially a part exchange that could differ slightly up and down, maybe. But if it's full agency and they're dictating the part exchange price as well, then perhaps again that's also another thing. So yeah, it's definitely customer satisfaction is what we're going to have to ensure we're good at to attract the customers and keep the customers, and indeed selling service plans, and locking and retaining customers in now, so that when we do, if and when we are agency, they're still locked into coming to us for us to still keep impressing them.
Of course, service plans. You're right. You're the first person to talk about that with agencies. Service plans start locking people in now. It makes a lot of sense, actually. Listen, people listen to this podcast in Canada, America, Australia, South Africa. They might not know Stellantis and the brands that you cover. What brands do you look after in the whole Stellantis range?
Okay, well, Stellantis, we're Peugeot, Citroen, DS, Fiat, Jeep, Alfa Romeo, Abarth. And then you start to go more worldwide, Dodge. We've got Ooh, there's a lot.
Maserati in there, is that right?
In there, yeah. So yeah, it's big. We've got it's FCA and
Yep.
PSA, with then obviously the American brands coming in, Jeep and Ram and Dodge. So yeah, it's a big global entity now, and a huge company. Yeah, our group, as in Stellantis and you in the UK, are covering pretty much all of them from a UK perspective. Obviously, not the American brands. Well, we've got Jeep.
So some of these, I don't know what you call them, Andrew, these mega sites where you have Peugeot, Citroen, DS, and then you're having Fiat bar from there. Are there plans? Are you able to say that? I'm not sure if you can talk about that or not, but are there plans to build more of these, what do you call them, mega dealerships or not?
Stellantis houses.
Okay.
Are the name for them, and I think like any businesses, whether you're privately owned or big corporate businesses, I think everybody, if you've got a fairly big footprint and you can put more of your brands under one roof, therefore helping share costs, then I think that's inevitably something that can happen, as long as you get the coverage right and as long as you get the geography right, so that your customers don't have to travel too far. Because of course, if you get past a certain travel time, then you're in danger of people not coming to you. So yeah, I mean, we've started to do that with some of our sites, and I'm sure, again, I'm not a party to the full plans, but there'll be more plans along the way to potentially have them joined where we can.
Yeah, I suppose economy, the scale of economy, it makes sense to put them there together if you can do that. A question I don't know the answer to, having never done this, but working for a manufacturer-owned, an OEM-owned dealer group, does that create a lot of different pressures? I suppose the two questions, do you get the pressure where they need volume? So you guys are told that there's a whole lot of cars need to be registered, tough, get on with it. Do you get the inside track? Is it easier sometimes because you don't have to do the dealer operating standards that other people do? You've worked for both sides. Do you find, what's the good, the bad, and the ugly of working for an OEM-owned dealer group?
I think, well, I mean, there is certainly no preferential treatment, Simon. Let me be.
I say that tongue cheek,
clear on that.
I got to. Can I just tell you, from the outside looking in, we would always say, "Oh yeah, back in Robin's day, Robin's Day days, I bet they get all the good cars. I bet their targets are lowered." But people tell me that complete opposite.
I think the pressure. I mean, obviously, when you're a private operator, you can control it a little bit more and push back if required. But there's probably more pressure in a lot of it because we're expected to be ahead of the private network from a customer satisfaction perspective, and we want to be. But we've got the same pressures. It's absolutely the same pressures, and yeah, I mean, sometimes we end up, with having to sometimes try and push harder. I think to do a bigger, better performance. But yeah, there's no
would the analogy be a father's harder on his son than maybe someone else? I don't know if that's maybe the right analogy, that they may be harder on you because you have to be seen as doing it right for the private capital investors.
Yeah, potentially, yeah, because we've got to try and we're the proof that as to what can be achieved and what should be achieved. So yeah, there is probably an added pressure of that. Yeah. Yes.
I'd love to now get your views on, we're 2024, we're in April. What's going to happen between now and the end of the year? And I'm going to say that for people outside of the UK listening to this, our government has said that electric vehicles have been pushed back for 2030 to 2035. It's told a lot of the general public that EV vehicles may not happen. However, the government has not taken off the target that the manufacturer has to supply. And is it 24%, I think, of the vehicles have to be electric? So I want to get your views there on what's going to happen now with these electric vehicles. Are the manufacturers going to hit the panic button? Are we going to see more and more deals with EV vehicles between now and the end of the year? I flew over Bristol Port recently, and it was full of cars. I mean, the supply issue that we had 2 years ago is well and truly gone. So I want to get your views on EV vehicles, what's going to happen with supply between now and the end of the year, and dealers listening to this, what they should be looking at in your view.
Well, I think certainly I've been saying to my teams, I had my general managers together last week, and it's a constant conversation, isn't it, for everybody, because that's what unlocks the money now. So we've got to get to a certain percentage to maximise the earnings, and certainly my focus and our focus as a team is we understand the importance of it. As ops directors, we've written that down, and our general managers understand the importance of it. Our sales managers, excuse me, our sales managers definitely know the importance of it. I'm just not convinced that our sales execs are as behind it with the conviction we need them to be. Excuse me.
I think you hit the nail on the head there.
And we can't sit on their shoulders. But I think we've got to ensure that, it's not when are you making the switch, it's we've got to be telling them it's time to make the switch.
Yeah.
And sorry, Simon.
You're right.
Problem with it's now time to make the switch, and we've got to, with ranges being better now, and we've got much better ranges on these cars as they come out now. We've got much better setups in terms of being able to charge them. People are now getting to know the apps and what they're about, to find the chargers and get on there. But we've got to make sure that our teams, our sales execs, and our showrooms, you almost want big signs hanging off the building, don't you? We are electric. You really, if we need 20% plus 24%, well, then our showrooms need to look like that.
Yeah.
Sure enough, if we were BYD or we were Tesla, then that's all we've got to offer. So, their salespeople are fully averse on electric. So we're getting there. Don't get me wrong, and I don't want to do a disservice, but I just think, we could do. Some of our sales execs have only been selling cars since COVID.
Yeah.
From that order take perspective, not a lot of them have sold before, or very few of them have sold before when we really had to try. When you really work hard for finance penetration and converting them from cash, those skills, sometimes we've forgotten that we haven't taught them those skills, is what I'm trying to say. And I think
so true.
I think that's of electric, and the belief has to be from the top down, and the place has to look electric, and get them driving them, your sales execs, etc.
Yeah, and that's just electric, but it's not that. It's the skills after COVID. You didn't have to be a genius to sell a car after COVID. It was shelling peas there. And little things like prospecting, going through the dead money. Mr. Customer, this is what you're going to have to spend on your car over the next 12 months. It is the tires, the X, the Y, the Z that's coming up there. I can get you a new car for X amount. We haven't had to do that. And I sometimes forget, and we say, right, guys, come on, let's get on prospecting. But they've not done the, account reviews. We've not done the, you do the maths. We've not done the, hey, any chance we could buy your car off you? Because they just haven't done that. They started after COVID. Or they got, I was going to use the word lazy. And that's a disservice to people in the industry. I don't mean that. I don't believe anyone signs up for the hours we work in the motor trade if they're naturally lazy. They just haven't had to do it for a long time. And it's not just EV. We've got to get back to slowing things down. Sell yourself first, the car second, then the deal. We can't just sell the deal, the deal, the deal. We've got to get back to, can I say, good old-fashioned basics?
And coaching. And it's our job to do it, isn't it? And it's our job to make sure that we've got the teams doing what they should be doing. So but it's vital that we really keep pushing on with the electric factor, definitely.
Yeah. Now also Gap is I don't know, is it going to come back? My theory is, again, people listen to this in other countries. The Financial Conduct Authority, FCA in the UK, has not stopped us selling Gap, but they've put a pause on us. We're not allowed to sell it from 6 weeks ago now, was it? 7th of February, I think it was. 7th of February. And they're analysing, are we allowed to sell it? My theory is that it'll come back. We'll be allowed to sell it. But I don't think us as a dealership will, because the amount we can sell it for won't be worth the risk if we get it wrong. That would be my view. So I have two questions of that. Is your view similar? And if it is, how do we replace Gap? Because there must have been a big old hole there that you need to replace as a regional director there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I do agree with what you've said there, and I think the only way we can do it is by focusing in on the other products that we have. So you Protect, or Peugeot Protect, or Citroen Protect, or SuperGuard, whatever we want to call it. Your cosmetic repair insurances, warranty, and then again, service plans and everything that goes with it. We just have to again adapt, as I said before. As an industry, we're very good at it, and we kind of, whatever you throw at us, we just deal with and we get on with it. And I think that's what we've done. And we're trying to, we want 2 products per customer from a new car perspective. And
so you still look at that 2 products per customer. That's your target.
Yeah, and 1 to 1.5 products on a used car customer, and you kind of just, you just got to push for that in the right manner. And again, we know that comes down to offering 100% of the products 100% of the time to 100% of the customers.
So
and
true.
And if we do that, then you shouldn't feel the pain. It's easy to say, but as we focus harder and harder on it, we are slowly managing. Well, not slowly. We're fairly well, nicely starting to plug that gap. Interesting word there.
Yes, plug the gap.
Yeah, no, we are, and it's and I agree with you. I think maybe we will get it back, but will it be as lucrative as it was? Possibly not.
Yeah. Okay. And things like the SuperGuards you mentioned there, and all the life shines, they're all ceramic coating nowadays. They're a lot better than maybe the products that you and I fitted when we were both washing cars, Andrew. And it's there really are so many other options out there that we need to do. But it's interesting. I think Gap is one of those things that I like the product. I think it is a good product, but I just don't know if it'll be worth the reward won't be worth the risk of getting it wrong. In fact, I can see lots of people going away from all insurance products and offering more guaranteed warranty type products with the smarts and stuff. But be interesting to see what happens on that one. So now, in wrapping up, then, what advice? And this is 2 different questions. What advice would you have to someone starting motor trade? Your son comes to you and said, "Dad, I want to go into the motor trade." Would you say, "Are you mad? Don't be so stupid. Go off and work somewhere else"? Would you still recommend this industry? And if so, what advice would you give to someone who maybe listening to this podcast has just come into the industry?
Yeah, I'd absolutely recommend it. I think it's what I do. I mean, I to be honest, I think, the way I have appointed sales execs for the last 5 to 10 years is through selection days, Simon, where I don't look at a CV. I get best part of 30 people together. We're in a hotel. We've got a big one big venue, and we invite them there. They turn up, and we set them tasks, group tasks. They're there all day, and we whittle them down as we go through, and we end up offering jobs on the day. And certainly, I can look at the team at Manchester that I've a few months ago just come out of, and more than half that team came in that way and are selling 20 cars a month each. And because they come in with no preconceived ideas, they do it exactly how you want it to be done.
You grow your own. You're not employing other people that have been everywhere else.
That's right. You hire for attitude, and the rest we teach, don't we? And all I can say is that anybody that wants to get into it, what a career. And certainly Stellantis, where we are, Stellantis and you, I mean, we do majorly actively promote from within. And, I've appointed a general manager that was a sales manager for me recently. And, and it's something that we do. We do want career-minded people. One of the people that I took from one of those selection days, 3 years ago, has now been promoted to a DS concierge position in Manchester, running that department. that whole department. And that's given us a lot of positive energy in terms of that brand and pushing it forward. And the difference that's made, A, because we've got somebody totally focused on it, and B, because it's the right person, is huge. We've sold more of that product in 3 months than we did all year last year. So, it's get behind it, I guess. If you want to do it, come and do it, because it can give you a career. Somebody once said to me, your lifestyle will go like that if you, as we said before, if you just keep doing the next job before you get it and putting yourself out there and putting everything behind it. It is good fun, and it's where else can you earn the kind of money that we do, and like I say, a career is right there for you. It's enjoyable, and I don't know. Have I told people what to do there in terms of what the best thing they can do is? I think it is just enjoy it, get behind it, and embrace it, and just listen and learn and ask questions. That's all you can do in anything that you want to apply yourself to, isn't it?
Someone told me years ago, and I think it's still true, it's the highest paid hard work or the lowest paid easy work. When you come into it, you can make it in the motor trade, especially in the sales side of it. You can be what you want it to be there. Now listen, Andrew, there's going to be lots of people listening to this who are your current sales managers, after sales managers, parts service managers that want to make that step to general manager, want to go on to do what you've done. What advice do you have for them? And now bear in mind, they might be listening to this and they might come into you and knock on your door and say this. But if you have got that after that service manager, that sales manager who wants to take the step to a dealer principal, general manager, a head of business, what advice would you have for them? How do they make that step?
I think thankfully we have a very, very good sort of one-on-one program where we do appraisals individually very, very well with this company. So they get that along the way because all the tasks are set out and all the points that they need to be achieving are there and what's expected, everything's there. But again, it's the same advice. Do the next job before you get it, and it's down to us to recognize it. And certainly general managers as well, as a general manager, I would be fully, I would give the empowerment and the autonomy. I'd let them make their own decisions. And if they got it wrong, I'd still back them, but then I'd talk to them afterwards about it and just say, look, you should have done it like this, this, and this. But I'll back the mistakes that they might make along the way, because sometimes you've got to get it wrong before you get it right to learn and learn quickly. But these guys know what they need to do, and as I say, that's the good thing of this company. We've got a good succession program in place that works very well, and they'll often come and ask for extra bits to do, and that's what it's about, isn't it? Almost want to do yourself out of a job, Simon.
That's it. Well, listen, thank you very much. How do people get hold of you? What's the easiest way to people find you, Andrew?
Usual methods. I'm on LinkedIn, and then obviously emails. And I might just be on Facebook a time or two. Yeah,
time or two then. Well, listen,
LinkedIn is definitely the way to get hold.
Listen, I really appreciate this conversation. And if someone really wants to talk to Andrew Wakelin about Formula One, I think you're the authority on that. And the conversation will go off in lots of different directions. This podcast would have lasted 3 hours if we started talking about a Ferrari and what's going to happen there. But listen, I really enjoyed that. It just leaves me to say thank you so much for your time there. I really do appreciate it.
No, thank you. Thanks, Simon. Appreciate it.
That just leaves me to say that all details of this episode and other episodes on the selling in the motor trade can be found on our website, simcotraining.co.uk. Go there to get a copy of our book, Words That Sell Cars. Go there to sign up to a free trial of our Sales Fitness online sales training program. Easiest way to get hold of me is Simon Bowkett through LinkedIn. Thank you.